As we know, solubility is the ability of one substance to dissolve in another. In this experiment, we are trying to figure out if there will be a higher solubility concentration if we continue to add more heat to our salt-water mixture. We assume that if we added more heat, the salt would dissolve quicker because hot water is more active with energy.
For our materials, we used a beaker, a hot plate, a stirring stick, a thermometer, kosher salt, and a timer. You will need to fill up each beaker with 200 milliliters of water. Take your hot plate and find an outlet that actually works. It took us a while. For one of your beakers, a hot plate will not be needed. This will be your controlled experiment. For this, we wanted to test room temperature. The room temperature ended up being 20.9 degrees Celsius. After the temperature was measured, we measured and placed 13 grams of salt into the beaker. As soon as the salt entered the beaker, we began the timer. We then stirred the salt in the water until it had fully dissolved. Then we stopped the timer and recorded our data. For the other two beakers or tests, we followed the same steps but used 37 degrees Celsius for one and 93 degrees Celsius for the other. To get to that temperature, a hot plate will be needed.
For beaker number 1, our temperature was 20.9 degrees Celsius, which was our room temperature. The time it took for the salt to dissolve was 1 minute 54 seconds. Our observations were very cloudy at first, but eventually got clear. For beaker number 2, our temperature was 37 degrees Celsius. The time it took the salt to dissolve was 56 seconds. Our observations for beaker number 2 was very cloudy and clumpy at first. It eventually got clear and the clumps cleared out. For beaker number 3, our temperature was 93 degrees Celsius. The time it took the salt to dissolve was 36 seconds. Our observation for beaker number 3 was cloudy and it began to have a vapor at first, but eventually cleared out and the salt dissolved. In conclusion, our hypothesis tested to be correct.
The more heat we added, the quicker that the salt would dissolve.